Hello, this is Mark and this is a short informative video, and I haven't had one for a long time. Basically, I've been regrouping and repackaging this ability of a political party to pay sales tax. Okay, the new program is much simpler, much easier to do. One of the things that's really important is that a political party called the Marijuana Party of Canada, see, there's a registration, okay, for a party. Okay, now it flat out says there that we are duly authorized to be an electoral district association, which is an entity called a natural person in law. Okay, and its agents are authorized to issue official receipts. And frankly, that's the function of a political party, is to issue official receipts. Now, you do that through what's called a pool, which is not a fancy name for a bank account. I mean, it's literally called a pool, but it's on a vessel called an electoral district. Washes it, and then when it comes out of the pool, it's being taken out through prescription. Okay, and I'm using the word prescription in its full legal sense, which is prescribed by law, Section 1 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And basically, the Marijuana Party of Canada is prescribed by law to protect our beliefs, and the way we can do this is by collecting and remitting a sales tax on the pot. Everyone in Vancouver clearly does not want anything to change with their dispensaries because they are actually working, okay? We have liberal rules to have members allowed into them. We have a good network of growers that supply it. It's very functioning, okay? There's literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of growers in this area of BC that rely on the Compassion Club networks to supply their pot, and they're all MMAR people, and they're all about to be slaughtered. Okay, the existing Compassion Club network in BC, in Vancouver, simply does not buy from anyone who's not an MMAR person. And the clubs might feel secure here in Vancouver because we've got a mayor and council, but it doesn't protect the growers, which in the majority of the case are not in Vancouver. And it's the fulfilling of what Harper said when in 2009, that people aren't going to like it when he starts chiseling away at our sovereignty, because that's just the way it is. Okay? Now, the whole concept of one world order is palatable, except for one thing. Why does everybody have to be a slave? Okay? The idea of one world order has some noble intent in it, but why does everybody in the system have to be a slave? Now, in Canada's case here, this new world order is being used to ram through, basically, or this S55 will end up being like Pfizer courts in the United States, where this foreign body gets to rule on whether it's good for the economy. And the rule number one is good for the economy. And whose economy? There are foreign occupiers. In Canada, we lost a civil war. We lost a war when we entered NAFTA. I could show you dozens and dozens and dozens of word changes that occurred with the entering of NAFTA. The CDSA simply thinks it's above the courts. Okay, the Supreme Court of Canada, because they're under these international obligations to make sure that pot is never legalized. Okay, doesn't matter if it's right or wrong or anything else; it's never going to be legalized. Now, the CDSA, this Section 55 of the CDSA, is saying that as of April 1st, a martial law is being imposed. because the governor and council is going to have the ability to create laws. Okay? He's immediately giving power to the Minister of Public Safety, and they can create laws anywhere they are. And basically, they're all there to enforce the shit canning of the old MMAR program, and they will behave very dumb and say, oh, those are plants. Oh, you don't have a permit. You can't show that, oh, all those licenses are gone. And they'll cut down all your plants and arrest you and do all of this. And they'll be creating their own case law precedent, because all of these cases are being sent through what's called an adjudicator. And an adjudicator is a martial law term. Okay, the adjudicator is going to be creating the case law that now runs the drugs of Canada. Okay, and it's going to be like a total separate court. I suspect it's the contravention courts, because contravention courts used to mean slavery courts back in the 1500s. Okay, and basically Canada has adopted the archetypal form of King Henry VIII. And the courts, slavery courts back then, were called contravention courts. And that's everything right now is in contravention of the act. And the act was the act of turning us all up into slaves. As soon as you take away rights that the courts were given in order to benefit of foreign corporations who are growing pot, you've technically made that person into a slave. Period. Now, one of the things that are very controversial about what we're doing is, through the Marijuana Party of Canada, I've formed an electoral district association called Quadra. Okay, under the Elections Act, I can appoint, or anyone who's an officer of a party can appoint anyone to be an agent. Okay, there's no limit to how many agents someone can have in their party. Now, I'm saying anyone who qualifies to be an agent will be made an agent and offered to be an agent. And that puts you on a list, like a union list. And that list is forwarded to Ottawa. And you now become, your contract with the EDA is now resides under the supremacy of Parliament. And the Harpster regime must respect that he cannot call you those classes of persons. Because under Section 55, you are those classes of persons. And it's basically what Hitler did to round up his dissidents before he entered and started raiding everywhere else around him and creating civil war. And that's exactly what Harper's doing. He's starting to gather up his dissidents. And pot dissidents are there. Now, the reality is the Solicitor General's thing, he's acting on information. Okay? Well, you know what? Charges in Canada are done through private informations. And they got all the information they need on the MMAR program as to where you are, what you're doing, has you, you can tap your phones. They got information on you. Okay? And it'll be a good old-fashioned roundup, I'm sorry to say. And once they've established their own case law in their own courts, it will be codified. So says Section 3 of S55 of the CDSA. And it will mean that these martial law courts have more, or supreme, over the Supreme Court of Canada. These rules of Section 55 behave like the last 10, 15 years of case law were all for naught, and that's exactly what it is. The last 15 years of case law was all for naught. They're acting like, oh, this is a new program, new things, all that old case law that everybody won is just shuffled down the toilet because we are now bowing to corporate interests. Okay? It's sad. It's an assault to our fundamental freedoms. Harper's gone too far, and basically he hasn't gone too far until he actually implements it on April 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th. And then, what can I say? Then it's too late because he's already acted. So what I'm doing is filing for a court motion to pay taxes to the city. a 10% party sales tax, and in return for the 10% party sales tax, we're asking the city to change nothing. Okay? We like the way that the city interprets the Societies Act and behaves with the MMAR and MMPR and dispensaries that are in our town. Okay, to get better service anywhere we can't expect it, and by paying a party sales tax, we're actually empowering the courts to turn the criminal matter of possession of pot and the growing of pot to a medical issue governed under the BC government, because our Constitution clearly says and always has said that medical issues are a provincial matter. And these medical issues for pot are being given to the province. Well, at least that's what my court motion is. And in this way, the government, the harpster, would be given a cease and desist order on his S55 provisions. And basically, to get right down to it, okay, this 20 some odd pages of legal document that I filed with the city is basically saying that we are facing martial law being imposed, and what I'm proposing is that we have civil law imposed by the province in order to protect our beliefs. And it would mean the province would have the right to create laws that would regulate the industry of selling medical marijuana lawfully. Technically, our party can't tell the government what to do. We can just offer them a tax, and as soon as they take a tax, then it's legal. Okay, and basically, read my paperwork. It's really tight. It explains how to collect the tax, how it's bulletproof. All the provisions. And it's a chance for any community in Canada to legalize pot. Just take my paperwork, form an electoral district association, and go for it. You can start a dispensary inside your EDA headquarters, and which is what I'm doing with my restaurant, because I can't get approval from the city for the restaurant. And basically, it means one dispensary in every town by doing it. And basically, the first town that accepts a tax will get the glory. I'm offering here in BC, in Vancouver, but the city here is saying they only want to talk to a lawyer. They love the plan unofficially, through the unofficial sources that I get from the city, which are actually pretty high officials. They just don't want to talk to me. They really like the idea of what it does and the whole 9 yards. They just don't want to talk to me. Please go find a lawyer out there to talk to, which is what cities do. They only want to talk to lawyers. I'm having a great deal of difficulty finding a lawyer because of my notorious past and actually my present push to have the bar reform. And because the bar really does need to reform. Because the same year NAFTA came in, the bar dropped their oath of allegiance. And in other words, the bar is sworn to protect this new world order. So the bar can't, there's no lawyer who actually can challenge this screwing and making us all slaves under the annexed MMPR program. And there's literally no lawyer who can defend against that without threatening to the bar, without threatening his license to the bar, because he would not be submissive. Read the program. It's very concise. It's very big. And it's the best chance we have at fixing the mess of our impending slavery under a new world order through the harpster regime, who is taking direct aim at his most vulnerable and easiest to pick off of dissidents, which is we, the potheads, who have actually made a program work. And go read my articles. They're there. They're well worth the read, and be inspired. Thank you very much.